What do you need to know before buying a lake house? I'm Amy Schrader, your lake specialist here in Morristown, Tennessee, and I'm going to talk to you about some key considerations you need to think about when you're looking to buy a lake house. First, you need to consider the type of waterfront that's going to suit your lifestyle. Are you a boater? Do you love to be out on the water? Then you're going to want to purchase a home that has main channel water. If you buy a house on a cove, you're not going to be able to get in the lake when the lake levels come down during the fall and winter months. You also need to consider, if you're not a boating person, are you better off buying on the lake or should you buy on the river? Riverfront's going to be a little bit cheaper than true lakefront properties. So figure out, do you really want to be on the lake? Are you good with just a view and having lake access? There's going to be quite a bit of difference in the budget depending on your answer to those questions. Another thing to think about is your access to the water. Do you want to have your own dock? You need to make sure you're purchasing a home that has dock rights or that is dockable. I always remind my buyers about the importance of understanding where the TVA line is and what you can do above that line and below that line. Because the last thing you want is to get a $10,000 or more fine from TVA for cutting trees that you weren't supposed to cut, for having a dock that you're not permitted for, and some other transgressions that TVA will not overlook. You also need to think about the aspect of maintenance and insurance on lakefront properties. So you're going to have a little bit more maintenance on a lakefront home, especially if you have a dock. You have to think about the elements coming at your home. When you live on the lake, those thunderstorms that come through are a little bit harsher than if you were living in town because you're in an open space. That water hits, so you're going to have to clean the exterior of your home. You're going to have to worry about patio furniture and things like that. You're going to have to pay to bring your dock up and down as the lake levels fluctuate. You also need to think about the cost of insurance. The great thing about living on our lakes here in East Tennessee is they are controlled by TVA. So you're not going to have flood insurance on your lake house unless you have built below the TVA line. That doesn't happen very often because TVA does not allow it to happen, but if you have even just a corner of your home that is on the 1080 line or below, you're probably going to have to carry flood insurance. So make sure when you're working with your builder, you're above that line. Talk to your agent and find out, is flood insurance going to be required for this particular property? You also want to think about what we said before, the seasonal changes. When you're on the main channel, you're going to have access to the water all year round. When you're in a cove, you're going to basically be a view house during those winter months. Is that something you're okay with? I encourage people who are looking at lake properties to come during the winter so that you can see the house at its absolute ugliest point. And then if you are okay with it then, I know you're going to love it when summer comes and that water comes back up. Last, you need to think about the future. I would advise you to think about the long-term aspects of your investment. Don't buy a house that you're not in love with because you think it's a good investment. Buy a property that suits you, that suits your needs, and fulfills what you're looking for in a lake home. Lake properties are going to appreciate, but they're also going to be the first properties here in East Tennessee to lose value. And people say, how could a lakefront home lose value? People who bought lake homes or had lake homes built in the mid-2000s, they couldn't sell their house when the real estate market crashed. Homes that are now selling for over $1 million, we used to get $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 for those homes because nobody wanted to buy a lake house, because nobody had disposable income to buy a vacation home or a second home. Don't think that it's always going to appreciate. You have to remember, we're in a strong seller's market right now, so prices are at a peak. If the house meets what you want, then go for it. But if you're buying it thinking that I'm going to hold on to it as a short-term investment, real estate will always pay off in the long term, but it's a gamble in the short term. If you need more lakefront buying home tips, please leave a comment or send me a DM.